Hello, this is Dyer Kennedy from Divergence Analysis. Today we're looking at the DVAN SmartLines cycle package, which is available on the Trading App Store on TradeStation.com. I have a chart up of the USDJPY pair 3-minute chart, and once again these are the DVAN SmartLines cycles indicators. That package comes with 3 indicators. You see on top of price bars, overlaid on price bars, these are the cycles. They're shaded red or green depending on a buying or a selling cycle. When the boundary lines cross up, they're entering a buying cycle, and that results in the green envelope or the green shading. When the boundary lines cross down, you see the red shading take place, indicating a selling cycle. Those indicators also point out points of support and resistance throughout the selling and buying cycles. The main point of support and resistance is the middle line running through, which is called the pivot line. The pivot line is plotting the price point at all times one period forward at which the trend line will change directions. In the case of a selling cycle, the trend line is the bottom line here, and the buying cycle, the trend line is the top line. So as a few examples, you can see at this price bar, when prices close below the black line, the pivot line, you see the trend turn up. Here, when prices close below the pivot line, you see the trend line turn down. The second indicator is DVAN short-term cycle. This is plotting the shorter term trend direction. With the histogram, you see the histogram is either red or green, red signaling weakness, green signaling shorter term strength. There is a quicker oscillator running through, which signals in a leading fashion the force within that short-term trend. And then also the long-term trend, which is there to create the overall bullish or bearish bias in the underlying security. DVAN SmartLines cycles can be used on all asset classes and time frames, and for that matter all bar types. In this case we're looking at this currency pair. So I wanted to go through some of the signals and what we would look for entry and exit decisions using the SmartLines package. This is the afternoon of September 3rd, so I'm looking at from about lunchtime to a little bit after 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. First, on the very left of the chart, we see a conglomeration of indicators showing weakness, and that's going to cause us to look to the short side. So the things that we look for prices to close below, let me scoot this over a little bit, prices to close below the pivot line. So that's signaling to us that support has been breached and we're looking for continuation of a downtrend. We also want to see the leading line in the short-term cycles go below zero. That's showing us that the shorter term force in that short-term trend is pushing negative. Ultimately, to enter that short position, we also want to see the red histogram on the short-term trend, meaning that the trend in the short term is actually turning down. So these all confirm to tell us to go short at 12:18 p.m. at 1:20.15. This is a great move. You see prices stay below the pivot line, which is our ultimate point of resistance and where we would ultimately want to be getting out for a longer term trade. You can also look at the first line here, the trend line, as a quicker resistance point to get out for more of a scalping type of move. Swing traders, I would use the pivot. If you're looking to scalp and then maybe re-enter or wait on the next signal, you could use the lower of the boundary lines here or the upper of the boundary lines, depending on if you're in a buying or a selling cycle. So in this case, you could actually get out here for your first initial move. If you're looking for more of a swing trade and to hold your position, or if you're trading multiple contracts, you could get out of half of your position here and exit your full position once you breach the pivot line. Things to watch for after you enter your trade: you want to look at confirmation by making sure the cycles have changed. So in this case, we're in when the cycles have already changed, which is an even stronger signal. And we'll watch the progression of the long-term trend, and as it goes negative, it creates our expectations for a larger down move. We get, at this point, just one green histogram bar, but what makes this insignificant and showing potential consolidation and nothing else is that we're remaining under the pivot line. The cycle lines are nowhere near crossing. There's still a lot of selling pressure here, as indicated by the width between the cycle lines, and the leading line is actually going back down below the histogram at this point. So our next signal to watch would be at the 1:48 interval on the 3-minute chart, 1:48 p.m. Eastern Time. We see the three indications that we want to see to take a long position. Prices closing above the pivot line, the leading line in the short-term cycle above zero, indicating positive short-term force, and green histogram, meaning that we've already been identifying the possibility for an uptrend in the short term. So once again, this entry at 1:48, we would look for confirmation a few bars later when we get the cycle cross. We can get in here, keep a tighter stop, and then once we get the cycle cross, we're identifying this as a place where a buying cycle should take off in a little bit longer term fashion. So you get another nice move, and once again, if you're scalping and wanting to get just a quick move and then in and out of the market, you could look at a close right below the top cycle line, which in this case is at 2:21 p.m. for getting out of either your entire position if you're scalping, or a portion of your contracts if you're trading multiple contracts. And then ultimately, our supportive resistance to show that this long trend or the buying cycle could be coming to an end is when we close below the pivot line, as you see here. We would wait one more bar before shorting because we want to see the leading line and the histogram go negative and red respectively, and that leads into another nice short. Hopefully this was informative, and if you have any more questions, please feel free to get in touch with us at info@divergenceanalysis.com or dvansmartlines.com. Information is in the comment box below. Thank you.